Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, folks, got my bro here, Chillmont. Had my other bro here the other day. That was Junebug.
Hi, I'm Larry. This is my brother Daryl. That's my other brother Daryl.
Talk about college football playoff. We're going to talk about the upcoming game with Missouri. Of course, we got to play South Carolina and Vanderbilt too. But currently, let's look at our rankings for the college football playoff, because I know that's what everybody's talking about. All right, now it's up here where we can see. Of course, Georgia's number one. There's no shock there.
Yeah.
And then Ohio State, Michigan, and here's TCU. And there's TCU. Now, what do you think about TCU, Wilmot? They got to play Texas at Texas next.
Yeah, and then they have to play Baylor on the road too. I don't see them staying undefeated. They could, and those are pretty good wins. Is Texas ranked?
I think they're close to the top 25, but They've also got to play Iowa State, I believe. And then if they get through that gauntlet, then they've got to win the
they've got a
conference championship.
Texas unranked?
No, they're 18. All right, folks. So, TCU's got to play Texas, who's ranked 18th, and that's at Texas.
Yeah.
Okay, then they got to play Baylor. Baylor's pretty darn good. Iowa State's pretty good. They can sneak up on you. So they'd have to win all three of those in a row, plus they'd have to win the conference championship. So I don't see that happening.
I'm not seeing it here, Lloyd.
That's another thing that's actually sort of in our favor is that we're not going to have to go to the SEC championship. It's going to be Georgia and whoever. Could be LSU, could be even Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss is second in the West now.
Yeah, and look at these victories. They barely beat SMU. I mean, every game was a barely win. One touchdown here, 3 points there. I don't see it happening. I think Texas is going to take them down, and they're going to trip up somewhere in here, because all three of these teams could beat them.
Yeah, I agree.
So that leaves us with Ohio State and Michigan. One of them is going to lose because they got to play. So we're going to have probably two losses here in front of us. The only team that could creak us is Oregon, only because ESPN and the college football playoff, they're all fired up about them for some reason, even though Georgia destroyed them by over 40 points. And we wound up losing to Georgia at Georgia. Understand, Oregon was playing at a supposedly neutral site because they were playing at in Atlanta, but they had the option of buying half the tickets to that game. Now, if they didn't, that's their problem. That's not our problem. They played at a neutral site. I guarantee you, had Tennessee had the ability to buy half the tickets wherever it was, it could have been on the moon. We would have had half those tickets.
I think Georgia, would they give us an allotment of 25 tickets?
I think it was 12.
Yeah.
Somewhere it was ridiculous.
Yeah, but ESPN is now, because they know it's a potential to knock us out of the playoff, which is the stated goal pretty much of ESPN right now. I mean, I'm not paranoid about it. It's just everybody's out to get us.
Yeah, well, it's the national media, and we all know how the national media treats Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
But, nobody's surprised by that. But, look, they're probably not going to be able to creak us because, again, I don't see TCU winning 4 straight fairly difficult games because they've not won a difficult game all year. That's number one.
True.
Number two, Oregon's got to win the rest of theirs, and even if they do, we still have a better resume. But, anything could happen. USC, they might try to pop them in there.
Oh, but, they love USC. They'd love to see USC get in there.
It's hard to say. Like I said, their resume is very marginal. If you look at USC, for example, they've barely been winning. It's not like they've been blowing people out. They barely beat Arizona. They barely beat California. You go down through here. It's not like they're blowing people out. They barely beat Oregon State.
And they're terrible,
et cetera. So I don't know. They're probably going to lose another game. It won't be to Colorado, but it could be to UCLA or it could be to Notre Dame. So there's going to be
Notre Dame could beat them.
Yeah, Notre Dame could. Notre Dame's been playing a lot better.
Yeah. They did us a major favor beating Clemson.
Definitely. Clemson was the fly in the ointment to me.
Yeah.
Because they would have had them ranked probably 3rd or 4th.
Oh, yeah.
And we'd be 6th right now. So that would have sucked. And we don't have to worry about LSU, Alabama. I think we're fine after that. Maybe Ole Miss, if they won every game, I don't see that happening. They're probably going to lose to Alabama this weekend. So,
well, we really need for Georgia to win the SEC championship.
And I think they will. I don't see that not happening. Who's going to beat them?
Yeah, LSU or Ole Miss, I don't think could beat them.
I just don't see it.
Now, if they did, they'd almost have to be put in the playoff, whoever won the SEC championship game.
No, they wouldn't. Not with 2 losses. Well,
Jay can with 3 vowels on him, not with 3, Kent.
think about
losses,
it.
Yeah.
Well, if they were, it wouldn't be ahead of us because we beat LSU at Death Valley big time.
Georgia got beat. We could end up being third.
Yeah, it's hard to say. We would not be ranked ahead of Georgia even if they lost. There's not going to happen because they beat us head to head.
Yeah.
And even if we had the same number of losses. So, I don't see them getting beat.
Yeah, they're not going to get beat. I think they win the whole shebang. I've kind of thought that since the beginning of the season.
They certainly could. I think
they're the best team in the country.
Yeah, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Ohio State and Michigan. Everybody thinks Ohio State's better than Michigan. I don't know if they are because the line of scrimmage, Michigan beat the crap out of them last year, and Ohio State, they've struggled this year several times. So I don't know. It might be Michigan beats Ohio State.
I think that'll be a great game.
Yeah,
I think it could go either way.
We need TCU to lose. That would help a ton. And I would like to see either Oregon or USC, one of those two, lose in there.
It'd be nice if
and
Oregon
I think we'd be
lost
okay.
I think we'd be gold then.
I just don't want it in the national media's hands.
No.
Because they will creak us if they can. All right, let's talk about Mizzu. Now, we're playing Missouri at Neyland Stadium at 12 o'clock noon. That's kind of a crappy time to play, but our crowd will be ready to rock and roll at noon. That's just, look, I don't think there's any question that's the hardest place in the country to play just about is Neyland, and I think Missouri's going to have a tough time with that. But Missouri's no easy win. They're tough.
Yeah, that's all that stuff about Georgia Stadium being louder than Neyland. No, I was there, and my ears were ringing all night after that game. So,
yeah, it's
after that Alabama game. There's no way.
But it was tough. But if you look at Missouri's defense, that's really been the tough thing.
Yeah,
they have not been allowing a lot of yards or points. Let's see, they're averaging allowing only 303 yards per game. So that's pretty good on their defense. All right, folks, we're going to take a look at their schedule and kind of look at how they've done this year. Of course, they started out playing Louisiana Tech. Who cares? Kansas State beat the crap out of them.
Yeah.
Let's see, they played Abilene Christian. So they barely won that game.
That was the flying.
Okay, now Auburn, they should have won that game, and that was ridiculous. But anyway, they lost to Auburn. Georgia's the one game where they really showed up, and of course Georgia killed them in the second half. But they could have won that ball game, and that's when people started taking notice of Missouri. And then let's see, they lost to Florida, but gave them a pretty good game.
Yeah.
And then here's Vanderbilt. Freaking Vanderbilt, they won by 3 points. So that's the thing about Missouri. Their offense sucks.
Yeah,
look at their offense.
That's a head scratcher. They almost beat Georgia, but then they almost lost to Vanderbilt. So
that's because teams that don't have a good offense can always lose.
Yeah.
That's really what it boils down to because they never score enough points to where if something happens and they give up a couple touchdowns, all of a sudden they can lose the ball game.
Yeah.
A la Vanderbilt.
Okay, then they barely lost to Kentucky, who we beat the crap out of the last game. So.
Yep. So, and then South Carolina, they did win that ball game, and that was kind of surprised a few people. People would have expected South Carolina to win that. But look at their scores. I mean, it's all 12. With the exception of these 2-0 teams they played, they've not scored more than 22 points, and that was actually against Georgia, and the rest are 17. So they're scoring about 8. They're averaging about 17 points, but they're only giving up, it looks like, about the same amount.
Yeah.
So that's going to be pretty interesting to see how that plays out.
One of the big things, I just don't think they have the personnel, although they are good defensively, obviously, but I don't think they have the personnel like Georgia did to really cover our star receivers like Georgia did, or to get the pressure on us like Georgia's defensive line did. I could be wrong on that. It may end up being a close game. And if it is, they might drop us down even further. But I just don't think that they have 5 stars all over the field like Georgia does.
No.
I know they don't.
No, and we need to score some style points to get back in the good graces, and a good drubbing of a team that's known for a good defense would help us a lot. And fortunately, it is at Neyland Stadium, so we're not going to be dealing with any noise issues or anything along those lines.
Well, that's the other thing. It's a home game, and it'll be packed again.
Yeah. So I feel good about it. Like I said, we just need to score some style points. We need to win big these last 3 games. We do got to play South Carolina at South Carolina. That's going to be a very loud, raucous place.
Yeah.
That'll might even be their bowl game in a way.
They're going to really want to knock us off. That's for sure.
Yep. So
spoiler.
We just got to show up and score and do our thing. And I think we'll get back to normal now that we're getting away from Georgia, getting away from Sanford Stadium. That's the only place that we struggled all year, and everybody struggled there. So we'll see how we do, but I feel real good about it, and I think we'll make the college football playoff if we just win out. That's really going to be the key, is to just win out.
Just take care of business, win out.
Yep, and I'm awful glad to be back at Neyland this weekend.
Me too.
There's no place like home.
There's no place like home.
All right, folks, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know to continue to cover the Vols. And if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. I'd appreciate it. I've just been doing this a few months. I can use some subscribers. And I hope you did like the content. And hope you like having Chillmon on the show. It's always fun to bring one of my brothers on.
I always enjoy being here, Big J.
All right. All right.
We'll go Big Orange.
Yep. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.